One of the things that I wanted to address today is some of the frequent questions that I get from prospective students. One of the things that they ask is, what's the difference that makes Altius better than anyone else? The other question that comes up frequently that's very similar to that is not sure about the Altius claims and whether or not they are legitimate. So I wanted to address those two things in a very similar format. If you are having a hard time believing Altius claims, it's because you don't know what we're doing differently that gets such great results. And that really is the differentiator between Altius and anybody else. So I want to kind of talk about those three things. We call it the three pillars of success. Number one, the primary difference, the major distinction between us and anyone else is our mentors, our one-on-one mentoring. It's much like a tutor, but a tutor and a mentor are two very different things. A tutor basically answers questions. A mentor, on the other hand, is concerned about your overall success and tracks that success throughout the process. And that's the reason why we use mentoring, or the word mentor, to distinguish the difference between what we're doing, taking it much farther beyond answering questions, to helping our students succeed and staying with them from the day they start the program to the day before they take their exam. The second difference that I would talk about is the super accurate materials. We've spent over $1 million making sure that our material, both on our practice exams as well as in our student study guide, accurately reflect what's actually on the MCAT. The third aspect, our results, a success-driven, results-oriented focus. Kind of going on those three things, we qualify our tutors. It's one thing to do well on the MCAT. It's a different set of skills to help somebody else do well on the MCAT. So all of our mentors, we make sure have a 515 MCAT score or better. The second thing we do to qualify our mentors is to make sure that they have experience and acumen in helping others do well, whether that's tutoring or teaching. The third aspect of qualification that we use for our mentors is we do a certification course to help them know the Altius process so that they can help their students succeed. Kind of going on the distinction between the hyper-accurate materials. Just two quick instances to kind of give you an idea of the difference between the actual MCAT and the Altius practice materials. Virtually all of the questions fall into a range of 180 to 200 words per passage. Because it's a timed exam, the passages have to be concise and quite dense in terms of material to be able to ask the follow-up questions that come after the passage. Altius materials, you will find the exact same word count in each of our passages that are on our practice exams. 180 to 200 words per passage is our average. Competitors, on the other hand, they range between 200, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 600 and 700 words per passage. That will throw your cadence and your timing of your exam off dramatically. We don't do that to our students. They have the same density and level of complexity and word count as the same as what's on the MCAT. The other aspect that's interesting is the figures per passage. On the MCAT, the actual MCAT, you'll find that there's about 2.3 figures per passage. The same ratio is found on the Altius practice exams. It's 2.3 figures per passage. And the complexity of data that you find on those passages around those figures are virtually the same. Comparing other test products, their average is 1 figure per passage, which is inadequate. And the complexity of data that you find on that figure is quite easy. When you're practicing with something different than what's on the MCAT, it throws you off. It makes you very nervous and uncomfortable. Anxiety increases and your ability to focus is diminished. We don't want to do that to our students. The last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is the process that we use. We talked about the results-driven system that we have to help our students succeed. We have a SAT sheet, which is an acronym for Student Accountability Tracking Sheet. We have our mentors tracking our students' progress throughout the course so they know when they are on schedule and when they're slipping behind or slightly ahead. We have major milestones that we make sure that our students know where they are so that they can have a really good expectation of how they're doing on exam day. The other thing that we do that's really impressive is we incorporate scientifically proven and researched principles in that system of learning. We have spaced repetition, we have the Socratic method, we've got teaching back what students have already learned. We've got the mentor itself is, if you look at the 2 Sigma problem from Benjamin Bloom, is fantastic. We incorporate those principles in the program so that not only you have the structure and the material and the schedule to help you succeed, but also having a guide by your side to help you all along the way. That's really the differentiator between Altius and really what helps other individuals understand how we get such great results. The fact that we've got multiple studies and universities that corroborate that data is very reassuring for us. Those are the questions, the most common question that I get, and that's what I wanted to cover for you today. Thanks so much.